Welcome to today's episode of Building Beauty Billinaires. I'm your host, Tiana Shante of Beauty Mobile CEO. Today I have with me Jay of J St. James, professional makeup artist who's worked on hit shows like Empire. And one of my favorite shows, I want to say, is The Chi, right? Yes, I got it right. She's also a local 476 member, which if you are not familiar with it, that's definitely the union that you want to be a part of when you want to be a professional makeup artist in Chicago. So I want to welcome Ms. J to the show. Happy to have you here. How are you today?
Amazingly blessed. I am happy to be here, happy to have this conversation, happy to share my journey with everybody and just, have some fun.
Yes, well, I know we're gonna have some fun because we're both silly, so it's probably gonna be a lot of laughs today. But I do have a bit of a loaded question. I'm gonna come straight through, pow pow. Who are you? Let the audience know, let the world know who you are.
You know what? When people ask me this, I always say that I am an artist. I'm not just a makeup artist. I am an artist through and through. I call myself a creative multi-hyphenate because I do several creative things. And so I'm just an artist. I'm an artist that loves to serve. So that's
okay. You are definitely an artist in every single thing from fashion to actual art on canvas to photography to I literally had to go down a list of things for you. It's such a beautiful thing to see you prosper and just grow. I've seen you in several stages of your career, and you were a painter first, right?
Correct. I've been painting since I was a child. So painting will always be my first love. So that's why it was kind of easier for me to make the transition from canvas to faces.
Right.
Because of my love of color.
Okay. So since you're into artistry altogether, what is one of your favorite, what is your go-to art when you actually do paint? What's your favorite thing to paint? What is it called? You know what I'm trying to ask you.
Yes, I paint stuff like this.
Oh, okay. Well, what's that considered?
I am a abstract mixed media artist. So when I paint, I'm using unconventional materials. I do enjoy painting on canvas, but then I also like to incorporate wood or plastics or paper or, all types of stuff. So yeah, I don't paint people. I always tell people I don't paint people, I paint feelings. So yeah, so I do stuff like this. So I paint a lot of abstract mixed media, and just other things that involve a whole bunch of color.
Okay. So how did you get involved in the makeup industry and how long have you been in it?
I have been, how long have I been doing makeup? Probably since 2009. Okay. 2008 or 2009. I got into it by accident. I'm never, to this day, I'm not a makeup girl. But one of my friends is a makeup artist. And at the time when I was living in Atlanta, he was doing a lot of bridal clients and his assistant flaked out on him. And he was like, hey, I need you to assist me on this wedding. And I'm like, I don't even wear makeup like that. I don't even know what you want me to do. And he's like, but you can paint. So you understand color theory. You understand how to mix colors, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, okay, if you want me to, hopefully I'm not sending you off, but I'll do it. So I did it. I didn't mess up too bad. And I loved it. And I think that I loved it. I wish I could say initially I loved it for the artistry, but I think that I really fell in love with the way people began to see themselves once they were transformed, right? Because when I first started, I got a lot of clients that weren't makeup people, right? So it wasn't like it is now where like everybody is like, oh, I want contour and all of this stuff. Like I had a lot of clients that were afraid of makeup, like, oh my gosh, you're gonna make me look like a clown. So when I started doing it and people were like, oh my gosh, I feel amazing or I feel beautiful. It was that response from the clients that I really fell in love with. Mm-hmm. And so it just made me want to do it even more.
Yeah. So would you say that the person that you were assisting was one of an inspiration, or like who inspired you? Was it him?
He was definitely an inspiration, just seeing him work. I think for me, it was, they were painters. They weren't, when I started off, I didn't really know anything about like real artists that were like real working artists that were in the industry. My path is a little interesting in itself because I didn't go to makeup school. I never worked at a makeup counter. Like I didn't have those experiences where people are like, oh yeah, I know, they're rattling down names. Like I could rattle down artist names, like as in like painters, but I didn't have that experience. So for me, it was more like looking at painters. And then once I started getting involved more into the beauty industry, then I was starting to be inspired by other people. But still in itself, I was inspired by artists like Pat McGrath, that were doing like really like crazy editorial things. It was still very artsy, and right. It was never like, typical makeup or typical makeup artist. So yeah.
Okay, so let's just go down a list, because you for someone who just happened to get into the beauty industry, you have done some incredible work with some incredible people and some incredible brands. So like, what do you feel like was one of your proudest moments that you've had thus far?
I mean, that's hard to answer. Probably be a couple of things. I know for me, let me just back up and give you a little backstory, because like I mentioned before, I don't have the typical makeup artist journey or trajectory to my career. I worked in corporate for 8 years. I was a marketing manager. And then I quit in 2011 to be a full-time artist. So I literally jumped off the cliff. And decided that I was just going to paint and be a makeup artist.
You got to do that.
Right. So it's a little different. So at the time I was like, oh, I want to be signed with an artist agency because I wanted to, my number one client, like my dream client was Nike. I'm very much so a sneakers girl. And so I was like, oh my God, like, oh, if I could just book Nike, this would be amazing. And I worked my way up. I literally started from zero, built up my portfolio, got signed with an agency, was with an agency for years. And before I landed Nike. And that was probably, on the agency side, that was probably one of my, like when I got that Nike gig, I was like, yes, like that was it for me. And I think, so on the agency side, that was like one of my most proudest moments for that. But then I also think the first day that I worked on a TV show was definitely like, when you look around and you're like, I dreamed about this. Like I always wanted to work in TV. And then it's like, oh my gosh, like I'm here. Like that was insane. So those two things, probably booking Nike and working with them, and then working in TV, because it still feels crazy like working in TV. Like I literally will say it out loud to myself, you work on TV shows. Like it's really mind blowing to me when I think about it. So yeah, so those two.
Okay, so I remember as I was trying to get this interview together with you, that I just could not mention that you are a celebrity artist or a celebrity anything. And tell me, if you don't mind, why you don't consider yourself to be like a celebrity artist.
Because I feel like no shade to anybody that calls themselves a celebrity anything, a celebrity makeup artist, whatever. I just feel like for me, when you add that celebrity in front of artists, it creates a sort of distance for me. And I view myself as being able to be accessible to anybody. So because I've had people that say, somebody call me a celebrity makeup artist or whatever. And this was somebody that was referring me to a client. And I remember having a conversation and she was like, oh yeah, because she said you were a celebrity makeup artist. So, I figured that you wouldn't take me. And that's not true, right? I want to be accessible to everyone. I don't want it to be like, oh, she just has celebrities. Oh, she's better. No, I don't think of myself as that. The way that I approach any client is the same, whether you are a celebrity or one of my friends or, anybody. I always want to be able to be accessible where you don't think that there's like some distance between us. So I just like to I'm a professional makeup artist. And that's it.
Really, really good point, because that is so true. When you start putting that in there, you're looking like they aren't accessible, or you have to have like this quality to be booked in. And some people do feel that way, but I've had pleasure to actually having my makeup done by you, which I actually enjoy. I swear I went to sleep. I didn't even want to take my makeup off after you got finished and done with it or whatever. You actually, you do this natural thing where you kind of, it's really soft. Like you go based off of the shape of the face and different details on a person's face that I actually adore. And that's how I know that you are a true artist all the way through and through. One question that I will say is, because what I usually do is I try to get the advice of those who have been in the industry for some time to kind of inspire the people who are listening, who are trying to get to that level. So let's say I'm a girl who I want to do a music video, or I want to work with certain people, you're on set or whatever. What do you suggest that person does? How do you move forward from your next job to get to these jobs in the music industry, or jobs in the art, in art and TV and television? How do you get on something like that? Is it hustling? Like, how do you get there?
I don't like to call it hustling. Just like I don't like to, it's like I don't like the word hustle, even though I do like the word hustle. Just I feel the same way about the word busy. I will say that you need to do your due diligence and be very proactive. The way that I got my first TV gig, I low-key stalked people. Tell you, let me put a bookmark in there for you think child is crazy. What I would do, I watch TV, right? And I look at all the credits. Look at the credits. I see, doesn't matter if you want to be in wardrobe, if you want to be in makeup art, whatever, right? Capacity. If you want to work in TV, I mean, it's harder in terms of like music video things, right? Because they don't have credits. But I'm just giving you, I want to give you the example of TV. You're watching a TV show, you are an aspiring makeup artist, and you're like, oh my gosh, I wish I could work on that show. Look at the credits. Look at the credits, figure out who the makeup department head is, figure out if they have a key makeup artist, if there's an assistant, anybody in whatever lane you're trying to be in. Look at the credits. Because why? Because the credits, you can go into IMDb, you can do that. It lists all the cast and crew. I'm pretty sure they have social medias. Look at their social media. You can reach out to, you can DM them. Sometimes they'll have websites. You can email them. Now, I used to do that. Like I had a list of department heads. I had a list of keys. I would find out, okay, who's in Chicago? Such as in Chicago. Let me reach out to them. I'm shooting out emails. I've created like a little not even like a one-sheeter, but I've put together a couple of photos, like hey, here's my work. There's a link to my portfolio. You got to do your due diligence. This is a very hard industry to break into, so you have to do your due diligence to try to figure out how to now don't get on people's nerves, but reach out to them. Sometimes you will get people that'll say, hey, I'll take a meeting with you, or just the informational. Don't say, hey, can you give me a job? No, preference your correspondence, like, hey, I love your work. I see that you've worked on A, B, C, and D. I would just love to talk to you about if you could just share any information about your experience, blah, blah, blah. Cool. Some people may respond. It took me, I got somebody to respond to me, who was the makeup, one person, out of a lot of people, but all I needed was one. It took me 6 months to get a informal meeting. We met at a coffee shop. I brought my portfolio. She said, oh my gosh, I love your work. And then you're like, she's like, I'll be in touch. And you like, wah, wah. Like, is she gonna remember me?
Yeah.
I promise you. She was like, hey, I have some shows that are coming up. I'll be in touch. 4 months later, I get a call from her.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she was like, hey, I want you to work on this show. I was like, it was a week before my birthday. I will never forget. They called me on a Sunday, and I started like 2 weeks later.
Hey, one person.
One. All you need is one person to say yes.
That's true.
One.
That's true.
One. And you also need to be good at what you do.
Yeah. You
also need to be good at what you do. And that's a piece of it. You have to have very strong work ethic, and you have to have a great personality, because nobody wants to work with a jerk or somebody that has a bad attitude. That goes a long way. TV, you work in TV, I work 16-hour days sometimes. You don't want to be caught with a teammate that has a really terrible attitude. So you got to do your homework. You got to be able to work hard. You have to be able to be a team player. And you have to be dedicated to it. So if you know that you're a slacker, this is not for you.
No, I definitely understand. I think that a lot of times when you end up getting certain jobs and certain gigs or whatever as a freelance artist, it's really based off of who you know and go from there, for real. Because I got lucky a couple times just off of the fact of who I know. But it's really practice.
Oh, absolutely.
Apart. Doesn't matter who you know. Because they're telling you no, you know what I'm saying? So you have to make sure that you come correct. I mean, so many people saying that they want to do this, that, and the other, but I'm looking at their portfolio and I'm like, you need to go back to the drawing board and try again, keep practicing. That's really one of the biggest things that you need to do. You just mentioned, so it's two things I actually want to touch on. Mentioned that you're working 16-hour days at the set. So I've heard about the set life. How do you counteract after you get out there? Are you able to kind of like have a life of your own? Is it one of those lonely things? Like, tell me the tea on like set life.
Set life isn't lonely. It is a sacrifice, because you work depending on, like right now, I wrapped the show the end of June. And so right now what I'm doing is called day playing. So day playing means that it's kind of like when a show, you're not on a show full time, but when a show needs extra help, then they call you in. I'm day playing on 5 shows. Oh my God. And so it's a little different when you're doing that, because that doesn't necessarily mean that you're working every day. And because you aren't working full time, you may get a chance to leave early, basically. So it's a little different. You get a little work-life balance. But when you're working on a show, there pretty much isn't a work-life balance. unfortunately. I mean, that's just what it is. It really is a sacrifice because, you know, some shows are longer than others. Like if you were working on any of the Dick Wolf shows, like Chicago Fire, Chicago PD, those run for like 9 months at a time, right? So that's a lot of time that you are sacrificing. So it's really hard because, I mean, you don't even have time to do things like go to the doctor, go to the gym, go to the post office, because every day your hours are different. Every day your call time, your start time is different. Every day, you know, your end time is different. So it's very hard to kind of have a life. And it's also hard because a lot of people that aren't in this space don't understand it. And so it's hard to maintain relationships, either like romantic relationships, friendships, because people don't understand, like, hey, I may not be available. Like it's definitely a sacrifice. That's why I say it isn't for the faint at heart. Like the 1 hour that you are watching your favorite television show, it took a lot of hours for you, you know, for the crew to stay up. And like for makeup artists, wardrobe and hair are always there like 2 hours before the call time. So if the crew call time is at 7:30 a.m., we're there 5:30, 5:18, something like that.
Already, like I'm tired of just. I mean, honestly, I'm tired on your behalf.
Yeah,
it sounds like a lot. You know,
it is a lot. It's a lot.
It's passion has to be there. Like passion has to be there 100% in order to be doing it this long.
Yeah, there's no way that you would be able to work in television in any type of capacity and not absolutely be in love with what you do. Now, there are some people that are like, I'm just here for the check. That's cool. But at some point, there is a level of burnout because you're working, you know, so many hours and you need sleep. Like sleep is very important. And that, you know, if you are working all of those hours, you aren't getting your sleep, then you're getting sick. So it's a cycle of things that you really have to be mindful about. And you really just have to exercise self-care, because that's really important, because you literally can lose your mind working. You know, people work like 80 hours, set almost 65 hours a week, not 2, a week. So it's definitely, I say all of that to say that it's a sacrifice. And if you're looking to work in, you know, television and film, know that it is a sacrifice. Well, and it is hard work.
They've heard it here. Anybody who's aspiring to do that type of work, they definitely hear your advice that you're giving them.
Yeah.
You also you do men's grooming as well, right?
No, it's my favorite. It's my favorite.
What is that entail?
Men's grooming could be anything as simple as just applying powder and anti-shine, or it could be, depending on what it is, right? And the needs of your client, or it could be shaving a beard, lining up a beard, giving a haircut, giving a lining. So it's all of that. It could be like if you have somebody that's like a sportscaster or a news anchor, clearly they have more makeup than, you know, if you are just doing a simple shoot or whatever. It just depends. So it's anything from, you know, light makeup to a full face of makeup to beard lining, mustache lining, and a full haircut. It just depends. But I really enjoy men's grooming. It's one of my favorites.
Do you dabble in like camouflage too, or special effects or anything like that?
I do.
You do? Say you do it all. Girl, you do it all.
I mean, you have, see, for me, you have to be able to do many things because you want to be valuable, right? You don't want to just stay in one lane. That's cool. But what did the panoramic teach us? That, you know, like it's important. So the people that were able to thrive are people that were not only able to pivot per se, but that were able to pivot and be really good at this other thing that they're pivoting to, right? Because you can pivot and that doesn't mean you're going to be successful or profitable. So it's just important for me to make sure like, oh, I'm gonna teach myself how to do this. I'm gonna learn how to do this so I can move over to this. So if this not working, okay, let's look over here. So that's always been important to me, even before makeup.
But honestly, I think that you have to find that niche anyway, because you know, it's an overly saturated industry.
Oh,
How do you become unique? You know what I'm saying? So you have to bring value to yourself. You have to add on different layers. What is it that I'm going to do that's different than the next chick or the next man or whatever? You know what I'm saying? So that's important in this industry, especially right now with Instagram, especially right now with all the social media. I mean, it's so much harder now working this industry because you have so many, you can literally pick up your phone right now and choose where you want to go from a hashtag. So how do you stand out from people? You know what I'm saying? So that's very, I'm glad that you mentioned the value that you have to bring, especially in makeup artistry. What are you doing? How are your pictures looking? Are they crisp? Are they edited? People are looking at every single thing that you do, especially the way that you carry yourself. Are you personal? How can you work with people and you're not personable in the industry? I don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that, and I'll say this too, that image is very important. I've gotten several gigs, not because I was good at doing makeup. I've gotten several gigs because people were like, oh, we like the way we like your pictures. Like, and it's like, wait, my pictures, like my personal pictures, like we like the way you put stuff together. And so I think that that's another thing that aspiring makeup artists should be very conscious of and aware of, is how you present yourself to the publicly on social media, right? So for me, when I was signed with an agency, I had to post makeup pictures, right? Because clients look at your Instagram and all that stuff. But working in TV now, I don't really have to post. That doesn't matter to me. So what's important is still, okay, brand wise, how are you presenting yourself to the world? Because still, if you do have clients that are looking at your social media, it's like, how do you want to be presented now? You still have to be professional if this is what you're putting out there. So I think that it's very important to be mindful about the types of content that you're sharing, because it's still a business, right? Yeah. Especially if you're using Instagram. And let me just say this too. A lot of times I have artists that are like, I mean, well, I have an Instagram. You also need to have a website. Okay. Have a website, because sure, the game done changed, right? Where now clients are looking at your social media, but clients also look at your website and they will ask you, do you have a website? And you have to be prepared. You stay ready so you don't have to get ready, because if you have a client that's saying, hey, we want to book you, where's your do you have a makeup resume? Do you have a portfolio? Does it look professional? You have to have these things. So you can't just necessarily rely on Instagram or Facebook albums to showcase your work. You have to have a professional website. That is important.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. You are a person who, your artistry is really based off of like influence or inspiration. What are you currently like reading or listening to that is inspiring you right now?
Ooh, oh my gosh. Is this in terms of makeup or just art?
All together. I love the fact that you've combined what you love from the photography, from the fashion side, and you've created something. You've created your own space. Like if people have never heard of J. St. James, I definitely feel like they should definitely reach out and look at your Instagram, look on your website, because you have an eye that lets you know that you're all you just bathe in artistry.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much. I received that. I'm inspired by everything. I don't know if there's necessarily like one thing or one person. I'm inspired by all types of stuff. Like I make it a point, that's one of my habits, to just explore a lot of different things. And it doesn't necessarily have to be in my field. It could be, shoot, anybody, like little kids and like little kid art. And I think that I draw inspiration from a lot of different things and I make it my own. One of my mentors when I first started was like, it's cool to look at other people and be inspired by them. The problem is that when you do a lot of that, your work starts to mimic theirs. And so I try not to get so engulfed in people that I really, really love, because then I don't want to, I don't want my art to kind of look like, well, that looks like such and such. So I try not to do that. But I'm inspired by everything, by colors, by music, by sound. Black culture is so inspiring, just how we put things together, movement, dance. So everything is a total, it's like a constant inspiration for me. My mind is definitely like a computer tab with like a million things going on. And I just try to make it make sense in my little world. So yeah, I don't think it's just one thing. I think it's a combination of everything.
Okay. Well, that's fair. I'll let you slide.
That's hard.
No, I know it's hard. I was like, I'm not even gonna have her prepare for that one. That was one of the things. Okay, so one question that I typically ask every guest is, if you had to go back from when you first started your industry, your profession in the beauty industry, what's that one piece of advice that you probably would have given yourself if you knew what you know right now?
One thing that I would tell myself, probably it would have to be trust your gifts. I think that that's very important. And as artists, it's hard to be an artist in the sense that we are very hard on ourselves. And I think that it's important that at the end of the day, even if you aren't, there were times where I wanted to lay in the street because I wasn't making no money and I didn't feel valuable. I've been there. Trust, I've been there. So I think I would constantly remind myself to just always trust your gifts, right? There's a reason that you have been given the gifts that you've been given, and you always have to trust them. You always have to trust yourself. You always have to trust your gifts. They were given to you. And you always have to give them away. I think that's very important. For me, is like I always say, I consider myself an artist that serves, because that's important, that I'm able to serve others. But you always have to give your gifts away to give more, to get more, and to receive more. And let that not be your purpose, but that, you always have to share them with the world, and just trust yourself. Because if you trust yourself, you'll be good. Trust yourself and don't listen to other people's advice. That may sound crazy, but
I understand.
But it's true, because I feel like people will place their biases on you, and they may not know you and know where you come from. So you take people's advice with a grain of salt, but trust yourself. You always have to trust yourself, because once you don't, then that's when we'll start going downhill.
That's true. And I think that I'm really heavy on the manifestation. I believe that once you believe in yourself, it really unlocks this confidence that pushes you like past your like surface. You know what I'm saying? You can't be surface anymore. You have to dream so much bigger. So I definitely agree with you when you say like trust your gifts, because just because someone tells you no here does not mean that they're going to tell you no there. And so you're a prime example of, you had a list of people, you did it for how many months, and then finally one person got back with you and it changed your entire career, your entire life, entire life, for real. So I would ask you one more question. What do you feel like the myth is in your industry, like in your particular profession, and like, can you debunk it? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh yeah, because you're not a celebrity artist. You work with celebrities. You're on set, so you already kind of like chop that one down. So if you think of anything else that like someone has said, oh, because you work with these people, or oh, because you do this, that you're this type of way or whatever.
Oh, that, that's hard. Can I have another question? I'm trying to think like, wait.
For real. That was my last question. I mean, in regards to, everybody wants to know, because I mean, obviously we see people on television, you know, do you hang out with these people? Are a lot of people feel like a lot of the artists and a lot of actors and actresses, they have like a bougie side to them where it's like you can't really chop that down, and it's all just like, I need this right now, whatnot. Do you find that happening a lot in the industry that you're in right now?
Sometimes that's true, right? Sometimes you will have actors that are a bit more challenging, and that require more. But for the most part, they're just regular people. I mean, you have to makeup, hair, and wardrobe are the closest crew members to the talent. So we hear different conversations that we probably shouldn't hear. We, know things that others may not know. We're very close to them. So we develop these relationships. If you're working, with an actor on a show for multiple months, there's a rapport that's being built, right? So I'll say this. As an artist, so you have the actors that are on the show, but as a makeup artist, I'm also acting, right? And what I mean by that is because you're so close to the actor, your goal is to make them feel comfortable and make them, they should feel as comfortable as possible, because why? They have to deliver lines, they have to perform, they have to act, all of the above. So your energy can't be terrible. You can't have a bad attitude. Right. Even if my day is tragic, right? I can't project that energy because the actor then picks up on it. That affects their energy. That affects their performance. So in turn, I am acting as well, because I could have a terrible day, but they can't know that. Yeah. So that's something that I think that people don't think about, is that you have, just like the actors have to be on, we as artists also have to be on, right? Because we want to make them feel comfortable. But a lot of them, I mean, they're just regular people. Like, I have actor friends that we cool, we talk on the phone, we FaceTime. But that has developed over time. You don't go into the situation, being like, oh, well, such and such is about to be my best friend, or we about to be on the phone, or I'm gonna date him. Like, no. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, you are there because this is your job, and you have to be professional. So if you can't be professional, and if you're going into it trying to have some other ulterior motives, you are in the wrong field.
For real. Okay, I got what, because you just said something that made me pop up this question. When you're dealing with actresses and actors, when they go into the acting mode and they come back out for a refresher or whatnot, and they're still in acting mode, is that like, does that tweak you out, or like, that would tweak me out in regards to, like, who am I talking to? Am I talking to the character at this moment, or am I talking to the actual, person itself, themselves?
Well, there are some actors, and that's called method acting. So there are some actors that they will come to set as John, whoever, okay? And that's who they will be, period. Gotcha. So you have to be mindful of that. It's the same thing, like between takes, they have what we call last looks. And that's when hair, makeup, and wardrobe goes in to fix or whatever, adjust your clothes, sweating or whatever. Sometimes when you know that there's an actor that is a method actor, you don't want to go in to disturb that, because you'll throw them off. Okay. And that's not something that you want to do. So again, that goes with, you know, knowing the type of actor you have, because there are some actors that don't even want to be bothered. Like literally, there are some actors that, depending on their role, may not even have makeup on, but that you're just going in to make sure they're not sweating, shiny, or whatever. Sometimes you just leave them alone. You ask them, hey, you need anything? You good? You straight? And they'll be like, got you. They don't even want you to touch them. So you just have to be mindful about, you know, the type of actor that you're dealing with. A lot of times, you know, because you've built up that rapport and they're comfortable with you, they're okay. And you get used to it. You start to know, like, if this is Tom, or did Tom come out of being Tom? Like, you know, right? You know, because you've built up this rapport. Okay. So it's not a freak out thing, but I mean, it does happen. But you just have to be mindful and aware. That's all.
I was just curious. So, what's next for J. St. James?
Woo-hoo, what is it? More TV, of course, because I love it. But also, go ahead.
What you're working on right now?
I can't really tell you. It's a bunch. It's a bunch of them. I will say this though. I did just wrap the show Southside the end of June. Hella hilarious.
I watched the trailer. It was funny.
Southside is hilarious. If you are from Chicago, particularly, you will crack up because the references are it's hilarious. It's probably the best representation of like living on the South Side of Chicago I have ever seen. It's brilliant. And I'm not saying that because I work on the show. I'm saying that because it's true. You watch for yourself. It's on HBO Max. Plug. And the new season 2, I think premieres in next month. Don't quote me on that. Do your own research. But I think that's correct. But yeah, so I wrapped that in June. Really excited to see that. Working on a couple more shows. I have a pilot coming up that I'm working on. But my focus has been shifting. I'm adding to, not shifting, to doing more creative direction for small businesses. I have like this thing for like women and minority owned small businesses in the entertainment and fashion and beauty spaces. So I've been shooting a lot of things for them. Okay. So like any like content, branded content stuff for them so that they'll have the material to put on the Instagram or Facebook or their website. So I've just been looking for a lot of different small businesses to partner with them to help them creatively grow their business and to grow their audience. So that's what I've been doing. That's like a big passion thing for me. So photography has been good and trying to, you know, get more creative director projects. So if anybody out there has any, you know, any ideas, any thing that they want to do, like lookbooks, campaigns. So I'm definitely looking for opportunities and brands to partner to do some really cool creative things. So yeah, just being more creative and helping people and all of that stuff.
You are like the epitome of creativity, I swear to God.
No, I try. I mean, I spent a lot of time in corporate being miserable. So right now I'm just really focused on using my gifts and to give them away and just being happy and being mindful and being grateful. So that's really important to me. That's the only way that I know how to be, is to be grateful. So
so how can people get in contact with you if they do have information, they want to check your stuff out, with your website, your Instagram? Drop it all, girl.
Okay, let's see. So first you can go to my website. It is jstjames.com. That's JSTJAI. It's James with an I. JSTJAIMES. There are links to my Instagram. My Instagram is @jstjames, j.st.jaimes. Oh man, yeah. So you can hit me up on there. You can send me an email. You can send me an email if you want to curate a show, give me a hug, whatever. Like I'm available for creative projects that are absolutely amazing.
That's what's up, girlfriend. I'm so happy that you came on a show for me. I mean, I feel like I know you more, even though I knew you before. I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming on today. You're very such an inspiration. Like you're such an inspiration to me, and I can name a few other people that you're inspirations for. But I'm sure that the audience definitely connected with you, and I really hope that everybody enjoyed the show and the episode of Building Beauty Billionaires. Be sure to subscribe, hit the link below, and catch the upcoming episodes. Well, we want to thank you, and until next time, take care. Peace.